actually further to the right of Orban on immigration. Hungary is obviously everywhere in the news today. The noted ally of President Trump, Viktor Orbán, out.
Yep.
Péter Magyar is in. Is it Magyar? I was also want to make sure it's Peter, not Piotr, because sometimes in the Eastern Bloc, but
Piotr.
He won. Okay. Here's the thing. A lot of those people on the left right now, they're trying to say, oh, this shows you because Viktor Orbán was viewed as a far-right nationalist.
Right.
Wasn't exactly, if you look at his relationships with China, if you look at his stance on the United States in a multitude of ways. And this guy who won, Peter, right here, he's actually to the right. Did you guys know this? He's actually to the right of Orban.
There is a wild theory out there that Viktor Orban actually orchestrated the whole thing by letting Péter Magyar, his own right-wing man, leave the party, form a dissident, acting like a dissident, getting all the fundings and donation from the globalist financiers and the bureaucrats, and letting him win the election. And then after, as soon as he wins, he unveils exactly what he believes, which is actually further to the right than Orban himself. So if that's the case, which I think is believable, because given that BBC, CNN, even Barack Obama all celebrated so publicly, if they truly knew what he was, I don't think they would have, because it would have been a huge shame on them.
Orban.
Slide to the right.
Yeah, on quite a few issues. And so anyone saying this signals that this whole sort of nationalist, that this Christian conservative, this culturally Christian movement is dying. No, this signals the exact opposite of that. If you look at the top parties that won in Hungary, okay, you had the TISA, which is Péter Magyar, okay, then you have the Fidesz, that's Viktor Orban was number 2. So that's 1 and 2, and 3 was the Our Homeland Party, which is actual far right.
Because the name Nazi was already taken.
Right. And for people to be, I think they just want to say, hey, President Trump, Vance, they seem to be cozy with Orban, so if this guy lost, we want to tell you that it's basically a liberal who was elected. That couldn't be further from the truth. That is how they are framing it. This is a huge win for democracy and liberalism. Please take stock of who you follow and who is delivering this kind of message right now, because they're flat out wrong.
I still believe in Western democracy, and I believe yesterday was a great day for Western democracy. It was a very bad day for people who over the past decade have done their best to try to destroy Western democracy, to destroy liberal democracy. Liberal, a traditionally small government term, even though a lot of really stupid people don't understand that because they don't read history. I guess they just scroll in crayon books.
Or maybe they're watching you.
Yeah, no kidding.
So some other positive reactions from the left. You had Barack Obama, worst president of my lifetime, wrote, now, the victory of the opposition in Hungary yesterday, like the Polish election in 23, is a victory for democracy, not just in Europe, but around the world. Alex Soros wrote, the people of Hungary have taken back their country, a resounding rejection of entrenched corruption and foreign interference.
What?
Ursula von der Leyen wrote, Hungary has chosen Europe. Europe has always chosen Hungary. A country reclaims its European path. The union grows stronger. You had Hillary Clinton, Newsom, Starmer, Macron, Carney, a bunch of people. You can go check out the references praising this. And then you have some people on the right buying into that narrative, for example, and he's often right on a lot of issues.
To be honest, I bought into.
Michael Knowles wrote, dreadful news for Hungary and the West. Tommy Robinson, who's been a friend on the show quite a few times, wrote, Hungary has fallen. It'll be riddled like London, Paris, Berlin. The death of Europe spreads. Here's the thing. I get it. It's easy to go, Orban, right wing, conservative. He lost. That means that this is a swinging of the pendulum. You guys, when they say that this will now be worse than London, Péter Magyar is actually further to the right of Orban on immigration. He's to the right.
To the right now.
Yeah. Of Viktor Orban. He actually flat out, yes, he did say we want to become, we want to open up talks more so with the EU, the relationship, but he did that while flat out rejecting the immigration pact of the EU. He wrote, we will preserve peace and remain a safe country free of immigrants.
He didn't say illegal.
Yeah, he also, by the way, on policy, he vowed to completely undo Orban's, he was importing foreign guest workers.
Yeah.
Again, this is a reason he was elected. The reason this guy was elected, and Orban was, I think, prime minister, he was it 15, 16 years? Then he shot himself in the foot because he was incredibly corrupt. So this guy who was in that same party said, hey, we're going to deal with the corruption. And by the way, part of that corruption is not being consistent on immigration. So this is what he actually said regarding the guest worker program. He said guest workers have been brought in en masse to drive down wages, inflate real estate prices, and cause social problems. He's going to put an end to that.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like liberalism to me. On China, he promised to, quote, stop prioritizing investment from Asia. Hungary was, by the way, the top European destination for Chinese investment.
Wow.
Orban even allowed Chinese police officers to patrol streets in Hungary.
Doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, so Orban was certainly seen to the right of most people in Europe. And people could say that he was more of an
That's
isolationist.
how messed up it is.
And you could say this new guy wants to open up a relationship with the EU, but the relationship is different because once upon a time with the EU, you had to take it wholesale. Now it's kind of a la carte where you go, you know what, fine, we can work with you guys if there's some kind of economic benefit, but we're not going to actually acquiesce to your immigration policy. And you know what, we're not going to be okay with China. He even went so far as using, by the way, Viktor Orban allowed police officers to patrol the Hungarian streets. He even allowed Chinese firefighters. Didn't work out so well. Yeah, it's a paper tiger.
I mean, there is a spectrum on the conservatism, but as soon as I hear that Orban let the Chinese police overtly patrol the nation, for me, that's the end of the story, that he wasn't conservative. I'm glad he's gone.
Other things with this new guy, which could be great for the United States. He wants to, when he talks about NATO, he wants to increase defense spending to meet the NATO demands. Now, like I've said, you can be pro-NATO because you want to be a freeloader, but to say, you know what, we actually do want to strengthen our position with NATO, and we want to set an example because everyone needs to meet their contractual amount, that is different. That's not the same as a globalist.
Yeah.
That's someone who's acting in the benefit or in the best interest of their own country. By the way, they were, Orban, just while we talk about him being right-wing, Hungary was one of the only NATO countries to lower defense spending, to be clear. Orban actively worked against President Trump by financing Russia with massive, massive energy purchases.
Which he called out the rest of Europe for.
Right, yeah.
Right? So it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. This guy is more tough on immigration, to be clear. He's going to undo some of Orban's lenient immigration policies. He's arguably to the right of Orban on pro-traditional family values, deeply Christian. And if you look at this election, this shows you that Hungary is flat out a socially Christian conservative nation. Of course, they all want free healthcare because that's just how the area of the world.
Whatever,
So people telling you that this is some kind of a liberal globalist coming in, either it's wishful thinking or they just want to put another loss on the scoreboard for the Trump administration.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I know that Vance was over there campaigning for him and said some stuff about him possibly winning or that he knew he was going to win. So that doesn't look good. So they're like, oh, okay, now we can just keep tying these guys together and see your team lost. It's like, well, actually, the idea is still won.
Yeah.
You're fine.
I mean, he's pro-EU, which is a problem. I will tell you, that gives me pause. The way he approaches it seems reasonable. He's pro-wealth tax. I'm not a big fan of that. He's pro-union. He kind of leans into some of the women's issues. But it's not like the Democrat Party. This is just one of those situations where people want to simplify this in a way that is inaccurate.
Yeah.
It's really easy to go, Viktor Orban, friend of Trump, conservative, right-leaning. He lost. Therefore, the rest of the world is turning away from Trumpism, populism. No, that's not the case. This shows us that Hungary, and this is actually really important, because what you typically see in Europe or some of these, whether it's Europe, formerly Eastern Bloc nations, they go from far right to socialist and back because they never get it right. They had Orban for a long time, who was significantly further to the right than most people in that region. Then they had an election where that guy was corrupt. They saw it, and they voted another conservative person. They voted another right-wing person. And the second place was another right-wing party. Third place was an even further right-wing party. There is no left party in Hungary that has any kind of a viable path.
Right.
That, if anything, is good news. It shows you that it can be solidified and countries can reverse course and then stay that course.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't it be great if either one, Democrat or Republican, that came in, it would have conservative principles?
Yeah.
It's the bedrock of that. That would be fantastic. That's what they're dealing with over there. And it's fine to work with the...
Okay, so here's more information about Péter Magyar. He said no tax for mothers with 2 or more children, which is great. He also backed rights for ethnic Hungarians. He opposed Ukrainian EU membership, of course. And also, unlike Orban, he refused to release 2,200 convicted human traffickers from the prison. So that's not liberal at all. That's not left at all. That's Orban without the corruption.
EU a little where you can, because you just give them the finger where you don't want to, which they've already done.
It would be like in the United States if an election, someone won who was a Tea Party candidate, and then next was the Republican candidate, place number 2, and the third was a Libertarian candidate.
Yeah,
That would be the closest
preferable
example that I could give you. So less liberal than conservatives are painting him out to be, and certainly much more right-leaning than liberals want. And at the same time, it's important to note that Orban was not this pro-America force that people thought he was. And he definitely wasn't the dictator that the left made him out to be, because he conceded power.
Yeah.
People said he was a fascist. I don't know if you know this, fascists don't just leave office.
Yeah, they don't do it with, I think, 30-something% of the vote counted. He's like, yeah, we lost.
He's like, yeah, we lost.
Everybody knew. I'm going to go to bed tonight.
I'm going to call it an early night.
Yeah.
So Obama's saying it's a big win for democracy that a dictator just decided to not be it anymore.
Maybe he never was.
Who, by the way, was elected with overwhelming popularity in the past. There's a reason he was in power for a long time.
Democracy was not in threat.
No, never was.
They just followed through with their process, and it worked out for.
That's exactly right.
So you'll start to see this develop a little bit more, but Orban was definitely a strong ally of Israel and helped block EU sanctions. So now that is removed a little bit, I would imagine that some of those far-right people that we've talked about in the past would probably come out and be like, hey, this is actually a good thing.
Yeah.
And pro-Israel people would probably come out and be like, I can't believe that Orban's out. Like, just like some of the undertones here, like it's not just about, is it somebody who's far-right or is it somebody who is going to preserve democracy?
Right.
They are a Christian nation. There's other things at play.
The thing is, people in Poland and people in Hungary at large, they don't even have a chip in their brain for what you know as wokeism.
Right.
They're so beyond that, they're not going to be fooled by it.